circuits. So these are the two topics is there in your last special functions linear integrated circuits. And so first one is your optocoupler. So you have actually I could not finish that in earlier classes. So you can see this is a diagram which is there. I think the content is visible to you, PDF content. So the first one is the optocoupler, and where the first part is your one part is what I have circled in the red color is your LED, and then the right hand side you have the photo transistor. Now this LED and photo transistors two are the basic element which is used in your optocoupler, and you can see that there is a gap between this LED and photo transistor. There is a gap. The connectivity between this LED and your photo transistor is through the air or is based on the your light. Now let us see first detail about this LED, and then we'll come to the photo transistor. Now instead of photo transistor, there are various other things also possible. Now these days people use the PD, that is photo detector. So which is the advancement of your photo transistor, you can say, because sometimes it gives better performance than your photo transistors. But more and all, the application wise or the output wise, it seems to be the same. So now I will just open first I will talk about LED, then I will talk about photo transistors, their architecture, that will come out to the the other things. So now first I will open one document which talks about your photo LED. So you have first of all you see I was talking to you that any kind of whenever the light between your LED between your LED so these are the optical range which I want to show. That is you see or O band, E band, S band, C band, L band, and U band. These are the various optical band and its respective spectrum. So these are the light energy which is possible. Means instead of LED, one can use laser. One can use laser, or one can use LED to have this range of frequency. That is your 1260 to 1360 O band, known as original band. E band is your extended band, 1316 to 1416 nanometers. All are in nanometer actually. All are in nanometers. Then your short band, your conventional band, C band. C band is widely very popular. C band in optical communication is very popular. That is 1530 nanometer to 1565 nanometers. Similarly, the long band and the ultra long band. So why I am discussing this various optical band, because you can have many devices based on this band. So now if you see the optocoupler, you have LED on one side, that is a transmitter side, and photoresistor as a receiver side. So advancement of one can think about laser on one side and photodiode on other side. Okay, so if you are either having a LED or you are a laser as a light source, that can be of in this range. It can be in this range. It doesn't mean that you cannot take the visible range. You can also take the visible range from 300 nanometer to 700 nanometer. That is also possible, because most of the times you will see the visible light communication is widely popular. Visible light communication falls from your approximate 300 more than 300 nanometer to 700 nanometers. But these are the optical band can also be used. So now going back after this, going back to your LED structure, if you want to see. So I want to show you this LED structure, which you can understand. Yeah, this is this is what you can see. This is what you can see now. You can put your device like this so that you can see that. So I think rotation is possible. Let me see. Yeah. Now you can see this device is this is basically your LED. Basically, so now you can see this is the fiber which is coming from this surface. This is a fiber. So this fiber, from this fiber, your light will be coming. Your light will be coming from this fiber, and these are the things where you can see these are the materials which is used in the LED. So now generally, if you see the simple LED, it will be only a PN junction. It will be only a PN junction. But now these days, the advancement of the LED is that it has a heterostructure. Heterostructure means it has many layers of other materials. Like that, it has a heat sink, it has a metallization, it has a silicon dioxide for isolation. Then you can see that then it has a substrate, then it has other material for the contacts, bonding material. And inside that, you'll see a small portion I am putting in green color, small portion, that is the active region. This is the active region where your the emission happens, means the radiation happens. The electrons from the conduction band, electron jumps from the conduction band to the valence band. So this is the active region where it happens. So now this kind of a structure is known as your surface emitting LED. So this is known as your surface emitting LED. This is your surface emitting. Sometimes what happens, the LED also comes where the radiation happens from the side way, this side. So that kind of LED is known as your side emitting diode, side emitting LED. So this LED, whatever used in your optocoupler, can be of two types. Either it is a surface emitting diode like this, when the fiber is at the perpendicular to the surface of this your material, then it is known as your surface emitting. If this same fiber is put here and along this side, and it becomes your edge emitting, you can say, edge emitting we say, okay, or side emitting LED. So now I will come to the actual internal structure of this LED. I will show you the internal structure of this LED. For that also I have one content. I'll show you the internal. Hello? Anybody can say, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you can see that here. This is, you can zoom it. These are the heterostructure. You can see many materials are used to make just LED itself. You can see that the center is your 0.3 micrometer, it is known as your recombination region. And after that, you have a N-type material, you have a P-type material. Okay, so this is the N-type material, P-type material you have, and okay, then you have a substrate material, and from here you can see you have a electron energy gap, and when the electrons jumps from this region to this regions, then some kind of emission happens. This is known as, that emission happens through this h mu, that is a Planck's constant into the frequency, and that value is now here it is showing you as a 820 nanometers. This 820 nanometer is the frequency, or the light frequency, which is coming out from the devices. So this happens basically in the active region. This happens in the active region. So as far as your this LED is concerned, it can be of two types: surface emitting or your side emitting or edge emitting diodes. And these are the heterostructure diagram you can see. The heterostructure diagrams you can refer in the book. and how this active regions works, where from electron jumps from the higher band to the lower band, and your light comes. Now after this, the other part is your basically this photodiode. So now this photodiode is something like this. You can see photodiode. So I told you that photodiode, the input to the photodiode is the photon. So now if you look at this photon, whatever comes that is H into B, this flux, photon flux, falls on this your photodiode, or it can be a phototransistor also. So if it is a photodiode, I am discussing now the photodiode. Photodiode is advancement of your phototransistor, where here also you can see you have a p-type material, you have a n-type material, and then some reason where your holes and electrons basically gets created, and some kind of biasing is required to enable that the electrons which comes out. So ultimately, because of this optical power which falls on this photodiode, you get a current which is known as your IP. So this IP is the current which is known as your photo current. So photo current is the output of this process, which is what we are interested in, which in case of transistor flows between your collector and emitter. So this is what happens, and purely depending upon how much this optical power get absorbed in this photodiode, accordingly your photo current comes. So if anybody interested to know that what are the factors it affects your this generation of the photo current, for that there is one equation I have here. So you can see that equation is shown here. So this is very simple equation where R equal to IP by P in. Your IP is the photo current, IP is the photo current which gets generated. So IP is the photo current, here it is written, and divided by P in, where capital R is the responsivity of the photodiode, which is exactly equal to your efficiency, that Q electron part, and your H part, and the mu part, that is your frequency part, frequency and the Planck's constant, and Q is the electron and eta is the efficiency. Okay, so now with this one can calculate what is the IP current depending upon the optical power. Mainly the optical photo current, which is the IP, depends on the responsivity into the optical power which is falling on the photodiode. So the phototransistor also, here also you know that, here you also know that you have like this. So this same optical power P in falls on this your base of that, and between your collector and between your emitter, between collector and your emitter, this current flows. So ultimately this base becomes the receiver of this optical power, and this photo current, which is the IP basically, it flows between your collector and your emitter in case of your phototransistor. So now with this one, we'll go back to our actual circuitry. We'll go back to our actual circuitry. So this one, our actual circuitry, is the optical coupler that we are discussing. So you can see that here you have a LED and here you have the phototransistor. So this LED, I showed you that how it is surface emitting or your edge emitting. It has also a many structures. It has active area where your electrons jumps from your higher to lower band, and thus this emission happens. Now this light emission also can happen in the any band, O band, L band, C band. It can be also in the visible land. So this light generation can happen. Now instead of phototransistors, you can also use you can also have your photodiode. Okay, the photodiode architecture also you have seen how this it takes input as a input, and how it gives you the photo current IP. Here also the basic when it started, optocoupler started, it came into picture. At that time, the LED was available and the photo. So this is the diagram of your phototransistor. So now, if you look at this one here, what you have to notice is that this is something. This is something having your. This is your base. First part is your base. Then second terminal is the collector, and third is your emitter. So base is something where your optical power falls on that, and current comes from emitter to collector to emitter. So now, if you look at this, this is also comes in some IC. So some of the IC forms. So these ICs can be either 4-pin ICs or it can be your 6-pin ICs. So a 4-pin IC, why it is 4-pin IC means this is the anode. It can be a 2-pin on the left hand side, that is pin number 1 and 2. It requires only 2 pin. Similarly, this base, which is where your optical power falls, need not be as output, because you need only collector and your emitter. So the 2 pin from the left hand side and 2 pin from the right hand side. So it can be 4-pin also. So a lot of ICs are available either as a 6-pin or the 4-pin. So if you look at just below, I have taken one example of a 6-pin IC. That IC is IC4N37. That pin is IC4N37. So now here is example. It is a 6-pin IC. So pin number 1 and 2 is connected between anode and cathode of the LED, and pin number 3 is not connected. Similarly, pin number 4 is connected to the collector, and pin number 6 is connected to the base. So whenever this input V in given, that is given through some kind of resistor, because you need to control the current which is flowing through the LED. Otherwise, your LED will get burned. It will get burned. So that's why this current has to be controlled. So that's why this 3.3 kilo ohms resistors are used, and then your that current, then voltage can be given at the anode, so that your it starts working and it emits your light. When the light comes, then it falls on your base of the phototransistor, which is the pin number 6 here. Now, once this optical power falls on this phototransistor, the current starts flowing between your collector and emitter. It starts saturation current starts flowing. So now at that time, what happens? Somebody wants to. Sorry for the interruption. Somebody wants me to. Actually, I have no. I'm not blocked. Yeah. Yeah. So now you see at the pin number 5, I have there is a inverter. NOT gate is connected. So NOT gate is connected at whose input is B1 and output is C2. So now what happens, whenever the light falls, the current starts conducting between the collector and emitter. So at B1, between VCC, there is a 10 kilo ohms between this VCC and B. So what happens, when it starts conducting, there is the power of across kilo ohms. That's why the potential at the B1 goes down. This is what is shown in your last 3 waveform, that whenever the V input is like this, and whenever the power V input is high, at that what happens? The light starts coming out, and this starts working. At that time, what happens? The potential at B1 goes down. So that's the potential B1 goes down, and it remains down as long as this V in is high. When the V in goes low, what happens, that the light becomes off. There is no more light when your V in is low. That circuit phototransistor stops working, and again the voltage VCC basically the B1 voltage comes up. So this is how it becomes how. And then C1 simply represents the inversion of your B1. So this is the inversion of your B. So it is just one example I'm showing you that you can have any circuitry at the output of this optocoupler. So what I'm trying to discuss here is that see how you control the controlling of these photo transistors or thereafter any circuitry which is connected to this photo transistors depends on this LED. So now if what happens if some way your LED gets higher current, in that case what will happen, this will get burned off and it will in that case what will happen, there will be no more photo transistors and the further circuitry that will not get burned. That's why most of the time you will find that this optocoupler is used in the protection circuits. Whether you open your mobile charger or UPS systems or anywhere where the protection is required, you can have this kind of optocoupler where simply you give input to the through the LED and get it coupled to the photo transistors. So this will start working and the further processing will happen. So this will have a this kind of protective circuits you can design. Okay. So to go in more detail, you can also look for the 4-pin IC which is available for the optocoupler or various other circuitry where like mobile charger schematic you can see. You locate in the schematic where this optocoupler and how it is used and how it is providing the protection to the circuits. But this is fundamental to the optocoupler where the basic component is LED. You have to know detail about the LED, how it functions, how it the structures and the photo transistors. You can read about the photodiode also. Somebody interested, they can also read about avalanche photodiode. So these are the recent things which is available in the market. Instead of LED, one can also give use the laser as the input source. So various ways for making of these optocoupler is possible. So okay, so I think hope I have given some highlights to this optocoupler. Okay, any comment up to this? Hello. Anybody can say any comment up to this? It is okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now I shall go to the next thing, that is your optical fiber integrated circuits. So I will just open whiteboard here to tell you something about this. Now the main the thing you have to understand in optical fiber. So now I think many of you have already studied about this optical fiber. So in that basically you have one core, you have one core, CORE we say, and then it is surrounded by the clad. It is surrounded by the clad, we say clad. So now what happens? The core is generally of the silicon material when it started, and then this clad is of material SiO2, silicon dioxide. So the material properties of this silicon dioxide and silicon dioxide is very much near, very much near in the case of with respect to your refractive index. It is with respect to your refractive index. Refractive index is a number which signifies the ratio of the velocity of the wave which is propagating in the core. Okay, so this is a unitless number. Generally, this silicon will have 3.45 as a refractive index, and this will be having some 2.45 something silicon dioxide. So now what happens? This fiber can comes in a single mode fiber. It comes sometime as a multi mode fiber. So you have a SMF, say single mode fiber, or sometime it will have MMF, we say MMF, multi-mode fiber, maybe more than 50 micrometer, or if the single fiber, the core size is very small, generally up to 10 micrometer. I'm saying 10 micrometer. This is very small in size. And whenever there is a light falls on this, whenever the light falls on this, so because of total internal reflection, because of total reflection, internal reflection, your output travels from one side to another side of the system. Now, what I'm talking about is you have to understand in the fiber integrated circuits, you have to learn the concept of about the single mode fiber, about the multi mode fiber. Mode means how the energy propagates inside the core. Mode is a word. Single mode mode word is a common to both the technology. So mode is a word which talks about how the light confinement happens, whether it is a single wave or many waves. See, for example, I am drawing here single wave. The wave can be like this. It is a multi-wave like that. So how it is propagating, it defines your mode. So you have to study about single mode, multi-mode fiber. You have to study about core material, the clad material, and one should know about the total internal reflections based on your Snell's law. So these are the fundamentals one should understand. Moment you know about this, optical things about the fiber, then comes how to utilize this fiber for the integrated circuits. So to start with, how people started when LED was invented, laser was invented in 1960, and photodiode came into pictures. Means the laser source was there, detector was there as a receiver, everything was there, and optical fiber as a channel was there. In that case, what happens now? If you see the fiber integrated circuits from the initial phase, you will see that there will be some kind of transistor, a transmitter. There will be some kind of receiver. So this transmitter and receiver is in electrical domain. This is purely a electrical domain things. This is also the receiver also is electrical, means it is a copper based or PCB based technology where your copper material is there for the conducting other things. So now one has to connect to make an integrated system. One has to connect this transmitter and the receiver. So that transmitter and receiver connectivity can happen through your optical fiber. This is optical fiber. It can be your single mode fiber or multi mode fiber. It can be connected. Now one cannot connect this directly. What happens, because here is the electrical signal, so you need some kind of device which converts this electrical power to the optical power here. So here you can use LED as a source, because LED, you know what is the structure, what is the meaning of LED? It takes electrical input and gives you the optical output. So the optical power is the output here, whereas the current input is the input to this LED. One can use LED here. Now this is optical power. This is your single mode. This is the fiber where your from the total internal reflection, everything gets flows and it comes to the receiver part. Now this receiver will only work in the electrical domain because this is a purely optical or PCB things. So here you need a photo detector. Either you can use a photo transistor as you have used in your optocoupler, or you can use a photo detector, PD, photo detector, or your APD. APD also you can use, that is avalanche photodiode. So either PD you can use or photo transistor you can use. Photo transistor that you have used in your optocoupler, or you can use a photo detector. I have shown you the picture. And this is a APD, which what it does, it takes the optical power and gives you the electrical current as the output, which electrical current is known as your photo current. So this gives you the photo current for the further processing in your receiver side. So now if as you see, people started optical integrated power system, optical fiber integrated circuits with this kind of easiness, that they have the electrical component also, they have a LED, they have optical fiber, they have a photodiode, and they have a receiver circuitry. So this is what was known as your integrated circuit. But now what happens? Due to the advancement of circuitry, people started using this way. Still, they were having what you can say, the same electrical transmitter, electrical receiver. But in between this electrical receiver and transmitter, they started using laser as a advanced light source, and your avalanche photodiode or photodiode as a receiver. So now you can see that I am drawing once again here. You have a transmitter side. Here also you have a receiver side, and one can use here here as a, this can be a laser, and here this can be your photodiode. So this can be your photodiode. This is the receiver part, and this is a transmitter part, and this can be your laser. Laser also, it works on the principle of lasing principle. Here also what happens, electron jumps from higher band to the lower band, and it emits light. It has more about same principle like LED, but it is in a controlled way. People are able to control that phenomena, so that is known as lasing principle. Okay, they are able to control the jump of the electron. That's why this laser is very significant as compared to the LED, because now here we have to control the movement of the electron. Lasing or spontaneous emission, this emission we are able to control. So that's why this laser is very important. And now, between this transmitter and receiver, apart from this laser and your photodiode in the optical fiber integrated circuits, people have started using this. People have started using this optical diode. Optical waveguide. So this is some kind of waveguide, we say. So all those who have attended this seminar, I think they would have seen that many people have given a demo on the optical waveguide through the OptiSystem or other software, if you remember. So this optical waveguide came to, means the optical fiber was replaced by this optical waveguide. This optical waveguide also have the same structure. It has a silicon, it has a SiO2 in one side and air on other side. So since it is very smaller in size as compared to your optical fiber, so this is very useful for the confinement of the light. So this optical waveguide came into picture, and your all the phenomena where the light propagation, everything started happening through this way. That is, from transmitter, laser converts your electrical to the optical power. So waveguide takes your input to the core, and through core everything all put by to a total internal reflection. Same phenomena happens. It comes to the photodiode, which converts your optical to the electrical for the further processing. So this is also a part of your integrated circuits, you can see, or the photonic integrated circuits, you can say. Now, if somebody wants to know the what is the advancement which is trying to happen, many companies, they are trying to make all optical systems. Means the integrated circuits, whatever you are seeing, that should be all optical. So the dream is about all optical. All optical systems. So all optical means, if you have seen any like your computer, only you have a motherboard. So motherboard itself, you have a many small ICs, some power section, some sound section, some video section, small ICs are there. So now you can think of all ICs are made up of your optical components. So all the processing, everything happens in the optical domain. So if that happens, that system needs a system through the so initially fiber systems or later on it can be systems. But the all optical integrated system, everything is as of now. To write about fiber integrated systems. Whatever I have discussed in the initial thing, you have a electrical transmitter, electrical receiver, the role of the optical fiber, different types of optical fiber, its a structure, its material, its total internal reflection phenomena, the role of the LED or the role of the laser, the role of the phototransistor or the role of the your photodiode. So if somebody discusses this or understand this, that makes a good presentation of fiber integrated system. Okay. So this is what I wanted to discuss about, and detail you can definitely read. So many books are there, reference are there to read in detail. So okay.